We love that. Well, welcome aboard. Of course. Yes, of course. I think that'd be lovely. Tell the mayor real quick.
No, I haven't gotten anything.
What about the old members, Ted? Forget us. Yeah.
Now we're all the way in. Excuse me. Excuse me? No. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Good morning. Did you see my email? I did. I'm sorry I didn't see your email last night. We'll get together. Yeah. Ain't doing it unless I'm like completely underwater. I mean, we actually have
Excuse me. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Say that, I don't have the agenda pulled up. If you would, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we get a roll call vote, please? Roll call?
Yes. LeBlanc,
Here.
Hinckley, Fenton,
Here.
Denham, Yancey,
Here.
Stepp,
here.
Milton,
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we start, Ben, I'm going to ask Chief Ted Martin to come up and share a few words.
Good morning. I'd like to take a moment just to publicly welcome Alex Eaton Williams. He's a C of O graduate. He's also taught at School of the Ozarks and College of the Ozarks in their military science programs. Community member, Army National Guard pilot. In fact, if you'll get done quickly, he has a flight to make this afternoon as well. And a new business owner in Branson with the store Getting Floored in the Branson Meadows Mall. The point to the introduction is that we had a conversation about getting engaged in the community. And this is an example of a citizen getting engaged as a business owner, as a husband, as a daddy, as a military member, and getting engaged in our city government. So this is a great example to applaud today. So welcome, Mr. Williams.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate it. I'd like to briefly just echo those thoughts. When I was first introduced to Alex and we had a brief conversation, obviously I was very impressed with his background and what he brings to the table. More importantly, his caring heart of wanting to assist our city, being all that it can be. And I am tickled pink that he's on board. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it.
You use the Army motto, be all that you can be.
Oh.
He's a Marine, too.
Ooh.
Thank you for the acknowledgement.
Okay. Ben, let's move on. First agenda item
Minutes to
is your staff report. Is that correct? Oh, I'm sorry, we have to
Approval of
approve the
minutes.
minutes. Has everybody a chance to read the minutes?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Did anybody else read the minutes? That was for you.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, Ben, now is it your turn?
Yeah, and we can pull up the disbursements, but I wanted to, it'd be a good time to reflect on what this committee, the sole purpose of this committee is. And I think I mentioned this a little bit to Alex in my phone call. And by the way, Kathy, we might have a finance director that can fly now. The way he picked up the stuff I was giving him, I'm just telling you. That'd be good for this team. Anyway, there's 5 primary purposes review and recommend operations budget to the board. We do a joint, obviously a joint committee and Board of Aldermen meeting. And then the budget work sessions that goes through as this committee along with the Board of Aldermen in it. We did that last year. I think it worked really well. Lots of questions. We were able to cover a lot of ground. Review any purchasing changes and accounting procedures to the board. We have a few of them that have come through last year. Review and recommend to the board procedures necessary to ensure financial health. It's a catch-all. If we need to talk about bond ratings, then that comes to this committee to kind of dissect before it goes to the Board of Aldermen. Then assume the other responsibilities may from time to time be assigned by the board. And this could be really anything from looking at TIFs or forecasts or diving down into some financials that, where we really wouldn't have the time to do that with the Board of Aldermen. And then the last thing was to review and recommend capital improvements to the board each year. The recommendation to the board on capital improvements happens through the CIP, so that's part of the budget process. We have had a few items, and we've had a couple sessions where we could review some capital projects. Michael is taking over as Public Works Director, and he has been extraordinarily busy. We do have the app out on the site to go through capital projects, but I assure you, one of these times I'm going to get him up here to talk. It's just I know he's extremely busy right now with everything going on. We'll coordinate that and get that back to you. First thing first, though, anything over $50,000, all the payments over $50,000 comes to this board or this committee. Anything on this list has already been spent. The check's been issued. So it's really to review what they are and kind of acknowledge the receipt of these. The accuracy is not up to this board. That's up to the staff. So this, what we do here is just go through, and if there's any questions about these, if I can't answer or we can't answer it today, we'll get an answer back out through Tracy, through an email. But at this point, there's really no unusual items that we can see in this list. Most of them are pretty routine.
Ben, just a few questions for clarity. On the fire engine number 1, the loan payment of $203, that was just round numbers, that was about $1 million fire truck?
That's the
100-foot ladder truck?
Right, that's right.
And how many with payments of 200? I mean, what was it, 5-year, 6-year
Yeah, it's a
term?
5-year.
You know how many years were into that payment? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
3, isn't it, rather than 2?
It's a 3-year plan and it's biannual.
Okay, yes, this is the second payment. Yes, 3-year plan.
3-year plan.
Yeah, it's the 3-year plan.
Very nice. And then the fire engine for number 4, did we write a check for that? I should have asked.
The $1.1 million? Come on.
Okay. Yes, we wrote a check for that, but that is the interfund loan. So it is coming out, but it's actually a loan from tourism to public safety, and then they're going to pay it off. And according to the loan documents that you guys approved, they have up to 10 years to pay that off. I don't think they're wanting to take it out that long, but that is their option.
Very nice. Yeah, we're borrowing money from ourselves.
That's the one where we borrowed money for it. And all the documents have been pushed through. Yeah.
That's just brilliant. Anybody have any questions?
So do we make a motion to accept? I know we're not approving because it's
Acknowledge.
make a motion to acknowledge the review of the disbursements
Right.
of 50,000 and over?
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Cody, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Next up is Sam, I believe. Go through his quarterly report on the convention center.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time. I want to let you know that this is going to be my last presentation as the general manager of the Branson Convention Center. And it's bittersweet that I announced that I am taking a position as president and chief operating officer of an entertainment company in Colorado Springs. And my experience here in Branson has certainly catapulted me into another level, so thank you so much for that. And bittersweet is certainly the word, as I love each and every one of you in Branson itself, in the service that I've given to boards and community. So, Mr. Williams, welcome to the community, welcome to the boards, welcome to the public service, and thank you for your time and efforts in advance. It's very important for all.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Also want to introduce two of our key staff members. And I say staff when I should say team, because they are a team. Jordan Canifax, she is our Director of Sales and Events. You may have met her in previous meetings. Josh Redfern is our Director of Operations and now interim General Manager until ASM Global sits another General Manager in the chair. So thank you for attending, and they also are here for questions and references on some of the information that we'll look at today. All right.
Excuse me, Sam, before you
Yes,
move
sir.
on. I think bittersweet was a good definition. What you have done for our community, and I'm speaking for the community, what you have done for us and our city is second to none. You have turned that ship. It looks good. The numbers speak for themselves, right, based on results. And just your personality and your willingness to work and cross bridges to make that about as efficient, as it could be when I look at the numbers. In fact, I know we're still pursuing the feasibility study,
Yes.
right, for the expansion. But I just wanted to say, and I'll say this from my heart personally, working with you has been an absolute treat. And Josh, you've been here long enough to know those are huge shoes to fill. Yeah? So from the city, the board, the community, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
to all that, I'm going to say, my homeboy there, Sam, the reason is because he's from South Louisiana. All of that South Louisiana love he brought up here. I'll echo what the mayor said. Your presence here has been just greatly appreciated. The level of communication you've had with the board, us individually, it's just been a breath of fresh air. And that's what makes city government work so efficiently with these connections that we have. So thank you so much for representing South Louisiana so well. Look forward to the gumbo, and I will come out and visit you.
That's right.
Colorado.
Thank you. Go Tigers.
You know, Sam, you're all right in my book till you just said that. That's always been my biggest knock against
I figured.
you is the Louisiana thing.
I know.
No, when you called me the other day, and we were talking about this, when I got off the phone, I immediately thought, good luck, ASM. You got some big shoes to fill, because when you look back at the history of the convention center, and I think you walked us through some of those reports, even a few months ago, and what that looked like going back 10 years versus what it's looked like the last few years. What you guys have done over there it really is incredible. And so gonna miss you. And I think you and I think when I joined the Board of Aldermen was about the time you started. So I feel like we kind of got in this together. So maybe this is my sign that I need to move on to something different.
No, don't take it as that.
No, I'm kidding. But
We'll accept the motion.
Congratulations, man. You definitely will be missed. So.
Thank you so much. That was very nice.
And not Go Tigers. It's Woo Pig.
Is there a
Yes.
motion?
Yes. And I just want to say, the leadership through a very difficult time with the pandemic and, all of that stuff just it was very challenging. And I'm glad that you got to stay through us coming out of that and seeing the success that our city has seen. And in large part, that is due to what happens at the convention center. So.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a challenging time, as everyone knows, in any industry.
But particularly for you.
Yes.
Because we had groups canceling
Absolutely.
and, all of that stuff. So navigating through that,
Right.
keeping things on track, and then, again, the rebound that we saw, and then not just a rebound, but just an incredible leap. So anyway, thank you, and I'll also miss you. I serve with Sam on the chamber board, and he's been a good member there, so thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you very much. Yeah, we were, had $1.5 million deficit during COVID. And I remember coming to the Board of Aldermen, unfortunately, with the unfortunate ask of dipping into the capital fund to fund the operations in the interim. And the board understood it and understood business and that it will bounce back, and it did in a big way last year. So, you know, kudos to the board, kudos to the Finance Committee for understanding that and taking an investment out, as you've seen here with the fire truck, right? That's an investment, so that pays back dividends. So, yes, thank you so much for understanding that. And now we're in even a better position than we ever thought. So thank you. Start the presentation now. The next slide, please. I have it. All right, well, let's do it. This is a 4-month review. And the 4-month review is going to look at events, financials, customer service survey scores, and then we're also going to look at the 2023 capital request for the year, and that's where Josh is going to be available to review that with us. So what I'd like to do is just a little collage of some of the pictures of the events that we've had, and a lot of this is redundant from other meetings, and that's a good thing. That means they're coming back, right? So remember the first 4 months. So Conklin Convention, I'll start with that. Had an incredible conversation with Charles W. Herbster just as of 2 days ago. He wants to sign a 2-year agreement. He is so pleased with everything that we are doing, everything that our partners are doing, including the Chamber and the Hilton. And we've all come together and made that large event, which is 1,700 people in banquets every day for 4 days, lunch and dinner, and of course, general sessions, and a lot of high-profile politicians and stakeholders and citizens come to this event. So it's very key to us. And it's the only one with fireworks in the dessert, as you can see. STUMO conference. If you remember, this was 2 years ago. STUMO was going to St. Louis. We beat out St. Louis because they had massive restrictions during COVID. And those restrictions allowed them to open their minds a little bit about, hey, where else can we go? And the fact that it's a student leadership conference was perfect for Branson. The attractions, the things to do after 5 o'clock, the overall hospitality that is felt towards the younger generation when it comes to what we have to offer for, down 76 at least, including the landing. They are now in a multi-year deal. So kudos to the partners as well. The Branson Auto Auction, of course, that happens twice a year. He's doing very well. Jim Cox, very good friend of the community. He's a great guy. We love him, and we want to continue to hope success on him. Women of Joy, that's twice a year. 4,000 ladies come to praise and worship in Branson twice a year. And this is a full weekend of praise, and it is just an incredible. If you haven't come, the men can stand on the side. But I'm going to tell you, it is a fantastic event to look at in the field. So we're very pleased to have that. I'm going the wrong way.
Sam?
Yes, sir.
Because of your departure, I wanted to go make sure that the community is reminded that the Conklin Group, which is significant for our community, before you took over the leadership, Mr. Herbster was he flew into town to come to a Board of Aldermen meeting to express his displeasure, right? Right. And so for somebody of that caliber to go out of his way to come and express his displeasure to this board, and then look where we are today, right? And I'm going to tell you, I know you have a significant team behind you, but a lot of it was your leadership. So I just wanted to mention that.
I do appreciate that. It is the most difficult logistical event that we have. We had 200 servers working one night. You coordinate 200 of anybody. It's a massive feat. And to do it in a world-class fashion like the team did is I just can't say enough about it. And he's a CEO of 3 major companies. And to impress him and his stakeholders and his friends is very key. They come back to Branson just to vacation because they got exposed at this event. So you want to talk about transient and visitation, you know, the convention center is not just about meetings and groups. It's about, hey, let me recon a great market to come back with my family. All righty. So here's the actual 4-month recap in 2023 versus what was submitted in the budget. Now, it was a banner year last year, just banner. And we knew that it would settle down, and it has settled down, but it won't settle down that much in the latter half of the year, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But right now, as of 4 months, we are at a net loss of $298,377. We budgeted 81, and the last year to date was 108. Now remember, this is governmental accounting, which does not account for any incentives and marketing fund reimbursement usage for underwriting events and closing deals. The bottom, performance accounting, is what I, as a reminder, like to utilize as a performance measurement of exactly how cash flow is doing as well. And so when you look at the reimbursements or sales and marketing incentives of $167,000, that's deducted out of the expenses. We are at $130,820 as of 4 months. And that is not bad at all, considering that our roll and our pace to the end of the year looks really good. So it looks like we're a little bit backloaded. But if you look at the 22 actuals, which was the banner year, you know, we're going back to 2000 pre-COVID numbers with where we are today. So it has the flywheel effect of the cancellations, rescheduling, and then business coming back booming, and then it's now static and settling in and getting comfortable. Now, the word of caution in the pace and the forecast is we don't know what the economy is going to do, like we never do. Interest rates are, you know, are now stable, but they could go up, and a recession is probably imminent, but I'm no economist. But that's what we're hearing in the industry. All that does is make cautionary spending occur in companies. We are seeing a drawback on the type of food that's ordered. Our supply chain is getting better. However, now it's the purchasing that is being impacted, because now if they had prime rib, they're going to go for chicken. If they had chicken, they're going to go for sandwiches. So that's going to correct itself when you see the environment change. So this is the rolling forecast, and I added this as, you probably haven't seen this before, but this is just our daily fluid document that changes every day, considering what Jordan and the other teams and our stakeholders, our partners book as well. It changes on a daily basis of the pluses and the minuses. So right now, what we're looking at on the performance side is a net profit projection of $160,000. That's really good.
Did you make a note of that, Josh?
What's that?
Yeah. We'll be mentioning this later.
Yeah. Now understand, this is the fluid estimate. This can change on a daily basis, so I just want to let everybody know to temper your expectation that anything can happen. However, we got some good-looking customer service survey scores. As busy as we are, it is very difficult to provide world-class service when you have 5 events going on at one time, when you have 12 days straight, when you have 20 days straight as of a few months ago, right? You know, so to keep the 90 percentile and better is really a good testament to the staff and their love of the building and service. And this is what we all like to see. This is the economic impact. And this is to remind you, and I'll go over the analytics in the next slide, but this is the 4-month look back of economic impact, $29,845,000. Now, that's direct and indirect. This is calculated not by me. This is the Industry Destination International calculator that the chamber uses and most everyone else uses to understand economic impact. And that's based on all the events that come. So amount of people minus the in-town people, attendees, hotel room nights, shopping, jobs supported, all of it. It's all in here. And so your return on your investment at right now $130,000 deficit is pretty darn good. 29,715,000. And, you know, understand that this may not show up as that number in your tax rolls. This is a direct and indirect. These are in people's pockets because they worked. It's in people's pockets because they shopped, went to the restaurant and tipped. All of that is taken into consideration in this calculation. And that's the calculation right there as an example. This was the Crappie Expo, which is one of our best events that I guess I'll let the cat out of the bag. They're trying to come back. They want to come back. And they're too big for our building. It is the expansion that we're talking about for our building in Branson is, this is one of the clients that we will lose. He's going to look at building an entire tent city out in the parking lot. That's how much he wants to come back to Branson. So the demand is there. And that'll be shown in the feasibility study, I'm certain. But to go back to this is how it's calculated. It's based upon, of course, estimates, but it's overnight visitors less what we feel are local attendees, hotel room nights, you know, multiple stays. Also, how many people would be in the room for a certain event. Dance competition is a good example. They may have more than one person in the room. Might have 4 or 5, but those types of things.
Sam, before you move on, I just wanted to also, when we get into this feasibility study, you and I had a conversation with the Quilt Convention, and they made the same comments to us, right? They're growing so much that one of their concerns here shortly is they're going to have to find another location because our facility is just simply not big enough.
That's correct. We have quite a few events that are like that. And if there's not a plan in place and a solid strategy for expansion, then those events will go away. And it won't open us up for more new events as well. So you want to have the ability to be versatile and have multiple events in one day. The air's on, the staff's there, the lights are on. It's the economy of scale for expenses get better if you have a facility that can do more than one event a day. And we can do 2 or 3. We want to do 7, 8. We want to do maybe even 9. So 9 smaller ones or 1 large one, it's all the same, but it's utilization.
What's the update on that feasibility study? I know we received the RFPs back.
RFPs were received.
Yep.
They were scored.
Okay.
And those were submitted. And I would defer to either Ben or Kathy on the status, the current status after that.
Kathy?
I don't know, actually. I have to check in with Ben. I know that it was going through the scoring process.
Okay.
So I wasn't aware that they were finalized with that work yet.
On the consultants for the RFP, we had 2 groups of people looking at it. We had Sam's folks, but then knowing the public may think that they're biased, I had 2 people that actually do this for a living on Baker Tilly's side. We had 7 proposals. 7, really nice. And they were very, very good proposals. Both teams came out with 2 of them on top. The final one after discussion is currently going through purchasing to come back to you guys.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Good. If I may ask Josh to come on up, just in case we have some questions on the Capitol when I review it. So this is for 2023. We always have a rolling 5-year, and then we have a 10-year program of capital. So don't think that what you see today is the entire capital plan. It is not. It is very well thought out for the years ahead and taken in consideration of cash flow, et cetera. So, and priority. So here we go. Here's a schedule of what I call P1s, priority ones. I didn't bring any P2s to you today. And so I just want to tell you that last finance meeting where I talked about the espresso machine, Okay, some of you may be new and did not hear that.
I remember when
You
I
remember
was
that one,
going
Pam?
through this, it was like,
Yeah.
I want to see Sam get that espresso machine.
There's
Hopefully.
no way, we can't afford it.
So this was interesting, all right? So after I made the presentation, we were able to fix it.
Yes.
And we fixed the espresso machine. We didn't need it. So we spent that money on the elevator.
Yes.
Because the
Because we
elevator,
did
if you
need
remember
the
that.
elevator. Yes,
All
I
right?
do remember
And
that.
so, well, guess what? It's down and it's dead. It's completely dead. So now we are really going to buy one instead of fix it because we can't fix it anymore. So it's really a great revenue generator for us. Although Finance Committee members and Board of Aldermen get 50-cent coffee, I'm just kidding. We, for events, this is actually an amenity. Instead of going to Starbucks, they're coming to us. And it is Starbucks product. So it's very nice. But a critical need right now, or really the rest, so HVAC motors, variable frequency drives, VFD drives are very, very important. All of them now need to be replaced. We have 6 of them that are they even operational right now?
They're bypassed, yeah.
They're bypassed. And so this is what this does. This is a thermostat in your home. So instead of just cranking your air on high, cool, now you can go, okay, I want medium, I want low cool. For a large facility to have a variable frequency drive on their chillers saves a lot of money. It's not full throttle on all the time. So that is a certainly efficient use of money there. That's $32,000 as an estimate. Carpet, we need to talk about it. It's very old. It's at end of life. We clean it as best as we can with professional cleaners, in-house, you name it. But when you have end-of-life carpet, there's nothing you can do to it anymore. So now we have to start thinking about that. That's a big nugget here. That's $354,000. So, we need to start thinking about this stuff. Exhibit hall lighting, I'd like for Josh to talk about that because we have some really good news about LED lighting in the exhibit hall.
So we just, we had some new, I have new information from when this was sent out.
Josh, if you would speak in the mic.
Oh.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we have new information from when this was sent out from some of our lighting contractors. If you've been in the exhibit hall, do you have the high bay lights? Those things are 1,000 watts. They're 480 volt fixtures. Technology now is catching up to where there's more availability for these lights. So now we have, it's still around the $20,000 mark, but for 57 fixtures, we have found a distributor for light bulbs that have 10-year replacement warranties and 100,000 hours of warranty on these light fixtures, and they're still high bay lights, LED. The ROI on those fixtures, well, for the 20 grand, will pay itself off in 2.1 years. So it's pretty good. A little over $9,500 a year in savings as far as that goes. And if we ever do an expansion, we have everything in place to just move that on with that project. And the labor we could do in-house, not that critical.
So thank you for moving in the direction of LED. Hillary just had me, I signed, 30 documents a few days ago. We're changing out our city street lights to LED because of the cost efficiency of those. So thanks for moving in that direction.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just one of the energy-saving ideas that are, edicts that we really want to look at. Variable frequency drives, LEDs, green initiatives, all of that coming back. So we're focusing on that in a big way. I want to back up a second. The carpet for $354,000, that estimate, understand that, under the next line there, it's 50% in this year and 50% in the next year. We feel if you do it in the fourth quarter, straddle going into next year, then some of the capital incentive money will be available for the remainder of, fourth quarter or December, and then new money would be generated and then input into for January. So it's straddling 2 years, which is, to me, a good strategic move for a big rock like that.
So for clarity, is the 354,000, is that for 50%?
That's for 100%.
100%. So we're going to be, you're asking for half of that
That's right.
this year and half next year.
That's correct. As indicated below in the totals. So those totals, they don't add up if you add up all of this. That's why.
So I've got a little bit of information
Yep,
on
go
that
ahead.
one too. So one of the major things with ASM Global is they have spectacular partnerships with companies all over the world, right? So one of them is Milliken Carpet. So we do get a discount on the carpet from Milliken, buying it at cost. This carpet, so from 1 year to the next year to the next year, it's not like it used to be where you had to buy one run of carpet, had to buy it all so it would match years later. It's not that way anymore. With Milliken, we can buy the carpet and it be same year to year to year. If we do carpet squares, is what we're looking at doing. As wear and tear, we just have to simply replace the square. But one of the great partnerships with ASM is Milliken. We get really good pricing on that carpet.
Yep, Milliken's been a partner with ASM for probably 15 years, and it looks like we're up now annually 10 million square feet of carpet purchased through corporate to markets such as Branson and that value. So that's a lot of juice for discounts, when you have that kind of volume. Phone system, we talked about this a little bit last time, but we are at end of life on our phone system. We have no backup, and that is critical. That's a critical infrastructure item that we need for sure. That's tied into security. It's tied into a lot of other emergency issues. It is working now, but it is at end of life, as we all know. Technology, Chad, we all know that it can go down at any moment if it's at end of life, because that's what that means. So, yes, absolutely. Hard floor machine. Interestingly enough, we don't have a hard floor machine. Josh's team has been mopping by hand the exhibit hall. Okay, now you're talking about 60,000 square feet of mopped. So you can about imagine not only the strength, but the labor hours that it takes to do that. And we're asking for a ride-on floor machine. It's not because we're lazy. It's because we want to save some money. So I tell you, it's interesting. This bad evaporator coils in the freezers in the kitchen. This is another critical issue. This is our main freezer. We had to have an emergency purchase yesterday. It just went down. And so we're looking to replace those. That is in this capital request as well. And that's about, what, 20,000, 25,000?
It's going to come in around 18.
Yeah, it'll come in around 18. We just got some really good bids back. So we're talking about loss of product and potential liability, so we don't want to ever get that. Right now, they're repairing it, or should I say replacing it. We have what's called a reefer truck, which is just a refrigerated truck, freezer truck from one of our purveyors that is on loan. So we didn't miss a beat, but we do need it. Parking lot seal and restriping. The south lot is looking really, really bad, and if you don't reseal and stripe, well, you want to stripe right after you reseal so that it'll take. But the more we go through winter time with ice, snow, and what have you, the worse this will get if you don't reseal it. We don't want to repave the whole parking lot because we didn't reseal it. So that's what this is about. So it's a really good maintenance item. Parking garage restriping, same way. You want to be able to see in the parking garage where you're parking. It's not only safety for the handicap markings as well, but it is also convenience for the customer. Guest lobby furniture. If you've been in the facility recently, we have some sofas that have probably been there 10 years, and that needs to go. We need to donate that away. We need some furniture that's indicative of the brand of Branson, and that's what this is a good start. It's not the end all, but it's a great start. And this is certainly customer service related. If the guest if they're not comfortable and have a nice place to work and be peaceful, they're just not going to feel comfortable in Branson at all. So you don't want them to point to that. So that's our schedule here. That total capital expense is $403,000. Projected capital fund by the year end, because we do put percentages into that fund of revenue, we're going to be at 518. So we're looking at a surplus of 115,000 that will roll over into 2024. So that'll give us a nice, robust start, as well as the $200,000 that ASM is bringing to the table. So, that's key.
So at this meeting, are you asking for this committee to approve this capital expense? And the request you're asking us is would we agree to move 115,000 out of our budget to next year?
No need for the latter, but the four, yes. The action steps at this meeting would be to approve the expenditure as listed here. I do have more detail in the following, if that is something that you'd like to review. I'd certainly like to move on, but that is the request today.
Members of the committee have any questions on this
So
capital
I just
expense?
want to make a comment, particularly when you were talking about the guest lobby furniture. It is so important that we present a clean, updated, stellar presence when someone walks in. And I think that's what sets us apart from some of the other convention centers that start getting ran down, dilapidated, same with carpet, right? You can keep it as clean, but when it's starting to show wear and tear and stuff, then people start noticing and they start questioning whether you have, what's wrong with them? Don't they have enough money to upgrade or whatever? So anyway, I think, in my opinion, you've provided a good business case on why each one of these items are necessary. And I would make a motion to recommend or approve this go on to the board.
Before
So
we make, you've made the motion, so just.
we
I
need a
guess
motion and a
this is
second, then we can have
Part of the,
the conversation.
so we need a second before I can talk.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That was for you to be able to talk?
Yeah.
I would draw myself.
Yeah. In case you didn't hear, Cody wanted to withdraw a second because it was giving me permission to speak. Sam, the elevator is not on this list. What's the status of that?
You want to talk about the elevators?
For, the elevators for the garage, is that what we're talking about?
No.
The ones that ain't working?
Okay,
The
so,
hydraulic pump, that was.
okay, so yes, we still need to replace that hydraulic pump for the elevator in the exhibit hall B side. It is operational, and we haven't had very many problems with it. Here in the past 6 months, very few, but it does need to be replaced still, yeah.
So what's your thoughts then on,
Is that a P2?
Well,
I would say so, yes. At this point, if I was going to put it on this list, it'd be a P2.
it hasn't gone down yet.
Yeah. And we have other
We have another
options.
elevator
Yeah.
right across the hall. So it's one of those things that when it goes down, I'm gonna come to you.
you need to speak in the mic.
It's not critical, it'll be a P2, only because we have another elevator across the hallway that you can actually see from the other elevator. So it wouldn't be critical, however, it would be nice. When it does fail, it looks okay right now. When it does fail, I think that's gonna be a discussion pretty soon.
What's the cost on that one?
What was the cost?
It was $10,000.
10,000? Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Kathy?
Sam, are you having the same struggle that we are I know we're in the weeds now, but on elevators, Michael's out there in the audience, he knows how, we've been struggling with repairs to our elevator, which is now pretty much obsolete. I mean, if not, it's very close to it. And so is that kind of the challenge that you're seeing? Is it the elevator industry maybe that's really having some struggles and that might be?
Escalator, elevator.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my son to quit college right now. Don't go into finance. I'm just kidding. Go into elevator, escalator mechanic work because
Anything with a Vader.
there's a shortage of mechanics. Prices have doubled and tripled for labor. It's incredible. Luckily, we have service contracts in place for emergency work, but at the same time, when those contracts go out, the whole industry just goes up. I mean, it's almost doubled in 5 years. It's incredible.
So I'm gonna rescind my motion to approve this list, and I'm gonna amend it to say, let's have some discussion about adding the 10,000 to fix the elevator in this. If we can budget it, if we can find the dollars, because again, to me, that is a perception from our guests. What if somebody's stuck on it? You know, I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and we were just
Absolutely.
there last week for the State of the State luncheon. There was 5,000 tiny dancers
Yes, there was.
dancing all over
Yes.
that, which I thought was amazing, having our lieutenant governor come and get to walk through all these little girls.
Tourism in
But-
action, right.
But, you know, when there's that many people
Yeah.
in our one elevator, even though you can see it.
Right.
It
I would agree
does
with you.
cause delays, so.
If you would, you know, if you would like to amend this and approve as amended, we have the money, as you can see. So we would still have a surplus, and it would not affect anything significantly to approve it that way. That's correct.
Well, that's my recommendation. I'd love to hear from everybody else, but
Well, sounds like I need to withdraw my second then. So you can withdraw your motion.
well, I withdrew it, and I'm asking that we add it, and then if you, and so I'm making that motion, so if you'll second it, then we can have the discussion about whether we want to. Can I count on you,
If you
Freddie?
withdraw your second, that withdrew my permission to speak. So we have an amended motion to include the $10,000 for the elevator. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board on this? Kathy, you good?
Dr. Ralph?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, why wait until it breaks down to try to fix it? And if anything, if there's any supply chain issues, then we're ahead of the game and just get it taken care of. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you for that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Sam, thank you very, very much.
Nice.
And Josh? Big-
Absolutely.
Josh, you'll be the one up here next time.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Okay.
In closing, I want to thank each and every one of you for understanding the needs of the convention center, which is one of your largest assets that you have here in Branson, and one that generates quite a bit of economic impact for the entire city and the citizens within it. So thank you so much for understanding it. Thank you for supporting it, and thank you for supporting ASM, and thank you for welcoming me 3 years ago and making all of the friendships that I have. Thank you for your camaraderie, and that you're in good hands with ASM Global and the team that we have here. And thank you to all of our partners at the Branson Convention Center and the Hilton. They've helped as a team let this convention center be as successful as it is today. So thank you very much.
And just as a heads up, I'll be talking to Josh about getting the rest of the capital put into our CIP. So the P2 through 100, whatever those Ps are, just to make sure we've got that put in here, because I think they could do a great job on bringing to us and explaining to us what it is that they need and why they need it. So this will go, 23 will go into the CIP, but then we're going to be looking, coming back to you for 24, 5, and 6, just to kind of get an idea. And that way we can have that discussion what the future looks like as well. They've got, like Sam said, they've got their own funding mechanism, so everything's really limited to that. Anything higher or bigger than we'd have to consider separately, but yeah, there'd be a benefit to know that. So the next one is the incentive. can you pull up staff report Exhibit 1 for me? There we go. So just as a review, SMG's got a contract to manage the convention center. There is a fixed fee that they have for that management, but on top of that fixed fee is an incentive to be able to achieve certain benchmarks. And the benchmarks are all listed. I'm not going to read them all to you. Just as an overview, though, customer client satisfaction, you've kind of seen it. Well, back up one. This review is as of '22. What Sam just showed you was quarter '23. So this is as of 6 months ago and how the year ended, and that's how and what they were able to pull off and perform for '22. And we'll go through that a little bit too. So there's, I think, 5 different categories. The first one's customer client satisfaction. You've kind of seen that. We've also have surveys of different areas within town. The chamber gives us a survey. The hotel gives us a survey. So we've got, and then more importantly, they survey their customers, which is critical in this customer and client satisfaction. And then just different goals that they've got and that they set for themselves through the city council, city board. Operational financial condition, Sam just reviewed not just '23, but what '22 looked like as well, a little bit. And then so there's 6. Responsiveness, and in the past, pre-Sam, has been issues with responsiveness to certain issues, and it's not really an issue now. Ingenuity and creativity to be able to pull off the conventions they've got. I think he's pulling every trick he's got in his sleeves. And then feedback from Chamber and Hotel Group. This is the survey from those 2 entities, CVB and the Hotel Group. And then starting in 2020, the incentive was $144,000. Since then, it's been 3% increases each year. So last year it was $149,000. This year is $154,000. We'll change this for the calculation purposes. Can you pull up?
And Ben, for those listening,
Yes.
each one of those 6 items are weighted.
Yes,
when
right.
we- yeah.
Right. Each one of them are weighted. You can see the percentages there at that other, that previous one. Can you pull up Exhibit 2, if you would, the incentive review. So just like you would have a review of any of the departments, the department director will report to whoever, whether it's the Board of Aldermen, this committee, or even Kathy, how do I feel like I did during the year, right? So this is Sam's summary, the Convention Center summary about how they felt like they did, and then their support for what they did. So this is kind of the Bible of the review that we usually look at. The other information would be independent reviews from the Chamber and the Hotel Group. So you can kind of see each one of those categories that he runs through. The facilities, sales operation, everything here is still relatively high. On the customer and client satisfaction, I haven't received a survey. I've lived there, I think, for a whole year. But I don't use the convention center. I go through it a lot. The specific goals that they've got here, you can kind of go through those. And then increasing gross revenue. And the nice thing about what we do here, what he does here is he just gave you 23s. This is where you can go back. These numbers tie back to what he replied to back in 22 when he gave that presentation. So it's all really right here. And these are fantastic numbers compared to what the past has been. And then unique bookings, and he just went through what 22 looked like and what's going on this year. Kind of got a repeat of 22, hopefully.
I have a few comments on this.
Yep.
When Sam came on board, there was a request that, for transparency purposes, that the customer surveys that they send out, that when they're returned, that they don't just go to the Fox and the Hen House. Right? And I'm on that list, so I receive every one of the customer surveys. Kathy, I'm not sure who's on that distribution list.
I don't know off the top of
Yeah, I don't know if the board's on that or who's on that. But thank you for forwarding that, right? That just increases our comfort level of what you're saying is what the customers are really saying. Yeah, they come directly to us from the customer. They're not filtered, right? You don't send us all the good ones and don't send us the bad ones. There have been a couple that didn't have some high marks, and I would forward them to Sam and say, hey, chop, chop.
And when we
Pam?
went through this process last year, I actually had probably a handful of people that asked if anyone else was looking at those surveys besides just your, your department, and was able to tell them, absolutely, yes, there are other eyes that are on them. It's not just what you've put together and sent to us. We actually have that overview of it. So, anyway, I'm glad you brought that up, Mayor, because we might have had some more questions again this year.
Yeah,
after we
sure.
went through it, so.
That's just part of the continued transparency, right? I do know that when I when I get those surveys back, the one that was not so favorable was from the Hilton, and we had a long discussion with them. We met with all the Hilton people, right, and discussed their comments on the surveys. But overall, judging performance from '22 and these numbers, results speak for themselves. Another question is, can we, in the future, I'm not sure why we wait until June to have a review for the previous year?
Yeah, no, and the only reason that happened was because of my schedule. Just got blown up.
So it's your fault.
Absolutely, it's my fault. Absolutely, it's my fault. Last year was the fall we did it. I just figure we'll move it up incrementally, right?
Okay, yeah.
No,
But just
honestly, what we should be doing is right after he does his year-end review, do the incentive review.
Yeah.
That's when we need to do it, right there in the same time.
That would be more efficient.
Yeah, that's the goal. We'll do that next year, too.
Any committee members have any comments on this? Have these been scored? So those are
No, the scoring is for you guys. The last 2 years, you guys have kind of debated the overall picture of what you thought each one of these looked like. Last 2 years, it's been, obvious that all of these were knocked out of the park. So it just, you either deserve the whole 100%. It really wasn't a big deal to score them. If you feel like scoring them separately, do we have copies? I'm not sure that we have copies with us.
That's okay, I don't know if we
We
need to
could
go
do,
there.
you guys have discussed it really.
For them to get
openly.
100% of the bonus, they need to score 90% or higher? Is
Yeah.
that right?
Right.
Well, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, so we have 189. I just need 191 to counterbalance that.
Again, let me just redirect. As long as they get a 90% or higher.
Well,
they
and the
get-
calculation, yeah, right. That,
Overall, I'm talking when we
the
add
way
all
that-
of these up.
pull up that one exhibit that's got the calculation in it. There you go, right there. This is the way it's scored. So there's a weighting. So customer and client satisfaction. The score he shows, that would indicate 100% because of the achievement of the goals that he's got. So that would indicate 100%. So we'd take the 154, remember, it's not the 149, times the 20%. We'd go through each one of those. The only one that we have any kind of support that would cause other discussion to happen would be that last one, that's 10%. And that's, I think, one of the surveys that came back, I can't remember whether the chamber or the hotel, I think it was a hotel, had a less than stellar, if you will, survey that come back. But even then, the chamber had a great survey, so it's up to you guys to really decide what you want to do. What they submit for your review is really qualitative. You guys quantify what that means in here. And
Well, I would be very comfortable with awarding the 100%. I would just need a motion from somebody on the committee. Uh-oh.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the committee? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you.
The next up are the fees. Chief, you want to come up and talk?
Morning again. Just a quick brief update. It's our due diligence to review fees on a time basis. The last time our fees that are adopted within the International Fire Code was done in 2018, so we're at the 5-year mark. We are limited on the fees to not go past the Hancock Amendment, which we cannot go over 100%. If you get into St. Louis County and the big cities, you see massive fees as revenue generators in the cities and in the fire departments, for example. Ours are very nominal and very small scale just to cover certain expenses within our community. When you look at the permits that we monitor, it's more the hazard type driven topics that we address through our technical services division, blasting, tents, fireworks sales. We're in fireworks sales right now in the city. For example, fireworks displays, propane tank sets, and the natural gas partnership, pyrotechnics in the theaters, for example. So we have calculated those fees to do the permit and the fee structure based on personnel time, permit processing time, vehicle travel, and we've kept those fees. The city had given us direction in the past, or the administration, to not exceed 90% cost recovery. When you look at our fee chart proposal for 2023, that probably averages closer to 70 or 75% in those areas. The highest being within the blasting. That takes a lot more time from our team to be in the field. We do that not just for safety, but also reduces customer complaint calls. When they see our staff in the field monitoring the blasting for construction, our complaint calls virtually go to zero. If we're not present, we take blasting complaint calls. So it works very well for the customer to feel that comfort level as well. Additionally, when you look at some of the areas that we've decreased permit fees are in extensions. For example, blasting extensions or burning or tent extensions. So we feel like we're doing the customer a better service by limiting or reducing that number as well. So that's a little bit of a history about where the permit fees have come from. Trying to be on a review basis, which we're currently at a 5-year mark, which is probably a little bit longer than what we should have done to be able to get past the COVID time and everything else with that. And then we just like to recommend that we make a few changes. You notice in the current standard, we've got some odd numbers, $62 or $131 or 62 again or 97. So we've taken our staff time, processing time, and rounded those numbers to be more, I think, feasible for the customer as well and make more sense. Why is it a $92 permit fee? Well, it's based on that calculation. So I think this will reduce some of those questions and concerns from the public as well in that. So we would recommend that this board consider moving this ahead to the Board of Aldermen for approval, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
So Ted, to recap a few things, you said we review these every 5 years, is that correct?
It's not a set time. I'd rather do it more on at least every couple, 3 years. So everything slowed down with COVID, correct? So this is just a good time to review now and update.
And to repeat what you said, your direction is to recommend fees that cover up to 90% of the total cost.
That was the direction we'd been given by administration prior, was not to exceed that amount. We were way low citywide in all departments for many years, and we've looked at those numbers and specific to the fire department to try to cost recover what's probably reasonable and not be way out in right field. So I want to make sure we cover that staff time. For example, fireworks season, we spend a ton of time in the field. Randy will be out, I'll be out next weekend. with him, just doing constant checks in the fireworks stands. It's amazing what we've found over the last 25 or 30 years in a fireworks stand. Charcoal grills, gas grills. So it's just that,
Hot dogs and fireworks go
Yeah.
together, right?
so that risk reduction, that's what this is about, community risk reduction. The partnership with the theaters, for example. One of the key things that we support our theater industry is with the pyrotechnics. Pyrotechnics can be used safely in our theaters. We teach that class locally at no cost to the operators. That's not in this permit fee structure. We do it at no cost. I serve on the Missouri Safety Blasting Board, appointed by the governor. So we spend time trying to protect that industry because blasting is very important to our industry for construction in the Branson area. So it's one of those crazy fire chiefs that supports blasting fireworks and other things, pyrotechnics, but it can all be done safely. In our permit structure, by doing the application, the licensing, the site inspections, keeps that safety factor high.
Chief, I remember when we first started looking at increasing these fees, just to keep up, because everything else, the cost of everything else is going up, right? And so I remember how very low the fees were, and I think everybody was very supportive of the fact that we not do huge increases all at once, that we kind of run them over, increase them over time. And and I remember when we set the maximum rate for not to go over 90%, because I think there's a public perception that some of these things we do just as a service for the community or whatever. So anyway, they look reasonable to me. I'm glad that you all rounded them rounded them up. We don't have the 62 or the,
To that point,
131 or whatever. So.
Mayor, you're very big on feedback, and the feedback I hear is why 62, why 71, why 79? It's not the price, it's why this number, so that's one of the reasons why I came back to keep that concern low.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind the community, though, take the hat off for you, because you're allowed to go up to the 90%, right? And you said that the average was 70.
We're in probably the 70 percentile in that area, but you also noticed that a couple of those dropped in price as well.
I just think that's admirable that you're doing everything you can to keep the fees low.
Chief, I got a couple questions. First, it says at the top, says no single fee increases more than 25% each year. There's several of these that exceed that. So if you could touch on that. And then the other thing is, all other re-inspections and lodging re-inspection have been at 0, and and the proposal, it goes to 100. So if you can maybe explain what's included in that and why it's going from no cost to $100 now, just real quick.
The first question, I just have a quick answer. I have no idea why we said 25%, but trying to be responsible over that 5-year time period, if we did that annually, we would try to meet that 25%.
Yeah.
So
And I think
that's part of the factor is 5 years.
Yeah, so the fact that we haven't done this in 5 years, some of these numbers will exceed 25%, but that's
Correct.
why. So I think that's
Correct.
important to
And
clarify.
planning development and several other departments have reinspection fees. We had not had that in the fire code, and so we're going to try to make that fair and across the playing field equal.
So is that something that would occur yearly then for a business when you come out and for their
Reinspection
business?
fees, or if it's a job site, if we've done the inspection, have to come back second time, third time, fourth time, that's what we're trying to do is reduce staff time for returning inspections. Michael really led that charge, I think, prior to help improve that in the planning department, and we need to follow suit with it as well.
From the business standpoint, I'm trusting this will go hand in hand, because there was a 0 reinspection fee, and as Cody mentioned, now there's a proposed $100. I'm hoping that ties hand in hand with when we do our inspections, that we eliminate that moving the goalpost, right, to the.
Exactly.
Because that doesn't seem fair. Right?
With the application of Citizen Serve and being able to email inspection reports direct, instantaneously, people are informed, they're educated, they know what the expectations are, and so if they fail to fulfill those expectations to meet the applicable codes, it's going to be a cost recovery for us to come back out.
along with clarity of what's needed initially.
Our team is challenged with identifying the fire code reference, the problem, the solution, and a timeline. So those are factors that we put into the inspection process.
Kathy, you have any input on this?
Well, other than to say, you know, I think this was a really responsible approach, and there's no way, as you can see from what it costs us per hour to come out to do these inspections. And remember, this is just fire, right? But the cost to the city is tremendous for 1 hour of time. And so I think this is a very fair and even-handed approach. And regarding the reinspection fees, you're absolutely right, Mayor, and you know we're working on the lodging program, the lodging inspection program as we speak. But again, there are some times where we've got some repeat visits that we need to make that are extremely draining of city resources, not anything having to do with moving goalposts. So I applaud the chief and his staff for coming up with what I think is a very balanced approach moving forward.
When you look at the outdoor fireworks display, for example, towards the bottom on the per event at $250 permit fee, when you look at a large commercial display being $15,000, $20,000 or more for display, but you're receiving an engine company, at least a chief officer or a fire inspector on site the entire time. So sometimes that takes 2 trips, one to do the inspection, one to come back for the standby. And they appreciate us being there. Chateau at the lake, for example, is a very good display, but it has a high risk for the vegetation that's around that property. And we've done some work there over the years, so it's there, and the vendors have had no issue with us so far.
Okay. So Kathy, I'm assuming you maintain discretion if there was a reinspection that maybe wasn't clear at the beginning. You maintain that discretion?
Sure, and as you know, Mayor, I've had some of those circumstances that have come to my attention. But I just also want to say with a caveat that sometimes it's just more about the communication, that maybe it's not necessarily a goalpost that moved, but maybe just there could have been more communication that was improved on both sides of the equation, on the constituent side as well as the city side. And those are the very things that we're working to improve and to eliminate those particular chinks in the armor.
Very nice. Any other questions from the committee? Are you looking for an approval to recommend to the board?
Ben, yeah, move forward to the board.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved? What?
Oh, with Ralph's absence, do we still have a quorum?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, we do.
The answer is yes.
He left like 15 minutes ago. I think he'd be offended to know you didn't notice till now.
I'm going to tell you, I did not notice. I did not notice. Hi, Ralph.
He was quiet. He was quiet.
He didn't make a big to-do like some others, Cody. So entertain a motion to approve this, to recommend approval to the Board of Aldermen.
I'd like to make the motion to send the proposed fire fees forward for approval by the Board of Aldermen, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Ted, thank you very much. How's your fire station coming along? No, actually, Ted showed me some photos just yesterday.
I would dare say that I'm quite impressed with the speed of work already. When they were given the notice to proceed on a Friday, Monday morning at 8 o'clock, the tractors, the equipment they're working, so we're excited.
Yay! Thank you.
That was a great groundbreaking
Yes, it was.
ceremony as well. It was, I mean, so many people that were so excited to see that. It was just wonderful.
Yeah.
So I can't wait until we have the ribbon cutting and the grand opening.
Should be just a few months.
So I sent some of these documents to Alex, not to intimidate him, but to give him a heads up on what's coming down the pipe. Just to repeat what I told him, I don't strive to make anybody an expert in accounting. I wouldn't put anybody through that. I put myself through that, but I love this stuff. But what we do is put a dashboard together of things that, if I opened up a set of financial statements, what am I going to look at to see what the kind of like leading indicator as to what the health of the city would be, or the health of the economy? And these are those items that we put together. And this report comes to you and then onto the board monthly, and is also loaded out on the website, so the public can see it as well. So overall sales tax, general sales tax is up just under 5%, 4.9% through May. We're 26% over 2019, and then more importantly, 14% over budget. And I'd be the first to admit that the sales tax, we took a very, very careful position on sales tax in this year's budget. The increases so far are slowing down. We had 5.2% increase last month, through last month, and then 6.6% through March. So those increases are slowing down, but they're slowing down slower. So we're hoping to achieve some type of relative stability. But we still have to get the summer's sales tax in, which is some of the highest months that we achieve.
So Ben, some of this is probably because of the increase in prices, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not because
Absolutely.
we've had an increase in
Right.
visitors. It's because we're all paying more at the
Absolutely.
at the grocery store and for everything.
Right.
So some of that is just the nature of the
absolutely.
beast right now,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's right.
we're in this.
That's right, and that's one of the ways you can compare the sales tax increase is 14% over budget. Right now, CPI or any kind of inflation is sitting right at 5%. We don't know what it's going to end the year at, but our 5% of salaries is not a small number. We're a service-driven industry. So these increases help fund those increases we have on the expense side. Not just the increases they see there, but when Michael or anybody else comes to us ready to put a project in place or buy a vehicle, and vehicles are just going through the roof. I remember not too many years ago, a cop car you could buy for $25,000, fit it for 10, and it's on the street. That number's like buying them in 1820.
That's the good old days.
Yeah, that's just, they're now 50 grand to get them on the street and more. But we're faced with that increase. But these increases really, really help. I mean, they're good news.
Yeah, we just need to keep reminding ourselves that in addition to looking at the increase of revenues over last year, which is phenomenal, our expenses are also increasing, right?
Yeah, and I debated doing that this month with this. I want to shift from 2019 to 2022, 2021. 21 is probably the new normal. That's after COVID we left. This is pre-COVID. I just see these as pre-COVID numbers. Pre-COVID numbers are almost getting old now. So looking at it in 21 as the new year, the new solid forecast, is something I'd like to do the next month. But you can already see what the growth is over the last year, 4.9%. When we look at tourism tax, which is on the next page, the tourism tax year-to-date is up 3.2%, and 54% over 2019. And just like the sales tax, tourism tax right now is 58% over budget. This was one that's even more volatile than sales tax. And with a recession and inflation staring you right in the face, the last thing you want to do is over budget tourism tax. Tourism tax, part of it goes to marketing, part of it goes to infrastructure. That's one of the easy ones that we can bring projects back and fill that hole of sales tax or tourism tax comes in, and we could just move on down the road. And I know Michael's got some ideas on how to fund some of that as well. But anyway, that's really good news. The budget through May is 3.2%. Yeah, I just repeated all that. So let's go down to the categories. There you go. So we have contractions in amusement and campgrounds. Both of those sales tax, or those indicators, are going down on a year-to-date basis. The theaters, hotels, and motels, and nightly rentals and restaurants are all going up. And that's coming back, Pam, to what you just said on price increases are going up, a lot of this. So we've still got we've got more people coming in town, but prices are also going up. So if amusements are 4.9% under last year, we're still 77% over pre-COVID numbers. Theaters are up by 14% year-to-date through May, 56% over 2019. Hotels and motels are almost flat. They're down by 0.68%, so they're under that 1%. 32% over 2019, so we've got quite a bit of growth there in prices and achievement. Campgrounds are 10% under, with 80% over 19. Rentals is probably one of the areas that I see more of the actual rentals coming in and being offered within Branson. So the prices may or may not go up, but I think that just seeing the number coming in is probably more of an influence here. 8% over last year, 169% over pre-COVID days. So the market has shifted and considerably into short-term rental availability. Restaurants and concessions are up by 7%, 16% over 19. So that's the categories, and these are all leading indicators just to show what the rest of the sales tax, these primary economy, if you will, big drivers within the city. We do well when they do well, and they're seasonal, as most of them can be. But we like to see them maintaining their profitability. So that's it on that one. If you want to go to the utility charges. So utilities are on par with expectations, so much so that we're 1% over budget. So I think Kendall's really nailed that one. Kendall in here? I have to call him, tell him he did a good job. General fund revenues are staying ahead of expenses. You want to go ahead and go on down to go ahead and go down to the next graph. There we go. General fund is staying ahead of expenses. We've got 42% basically of the year that is under our belt. On the budget side, we've got 39% of the expenses gone with an expectation of that 42%. So we're ahead of budget there on the expense side. On the water side, water and sewer, water and sewer is 29% of the budget has been spent, but 42% is expected. So as they're slowing down considerably, and some of that is capital, but they're slowing down considerably. And we'll see more. We'll see more, and go ahead and roll forward to that. But we'll see more about this when we bring the budget in July, August, and I'll do a more thorough reflection on what the past has been and what we're going to see in the future. And this is my favorite graph, just showing the vehicle counts on Highway 76 and how they are reflective of the appropriate tax. So on the right-hand side, vehicle counts as it reflects compared to tourism tax, and on the right is the sales tax. So the line is the sales tax, and the bars are the counts. And the point of sale is on the line is the month that shows up. So March is what that line looks like. That's actually May's sales tax. And it just shows, like on the right-hand column, you can see where that increase is happening in the number of traffic or the tourists coming in. You can also see that boost in sales tax. It just shows that drives that. People coming in are spending money. And so that peak, we hope to see happen the rest of the way.
Excuse me, Ben. Would you go back?
Yep.
One more on the Capitol? There you go. Those numbers, maybe next time, would you include in there, because we've approved a lot of capital expenses.
Yeah.
Fire, police station,
Yep.
all that. Are these numbers reflective of what we've already approved for those projects, or the monies that we've already approved, are they included?
Yeah, those are separate. Those are separate. This is all operations. So So to the degree that like water and sewer transferred any money over in '22 that's already taken place, transfers it over to their capital projects fund, and that's not part of what this looks like.
Thank you.
Then there was a different one that had the permit information on it. Did we have access to that one by any chance? And that's fine, we could, I usually, between the operating cash and the previous graph, there's permits for May, the number of permits that come through by category. And I know Hillary's putting that out on the website, but that came in too late to get it submitted for this committee, but it is out there. And the commercial has gone up in the millions again. And just, there's the categories, and then when you look at the millions in commercial, it breaks it out into what that is that's coming in, just to let the public know. We'll make sure that it's out there on the website. This is just the operating cash. I mean, cash is king. Where that sits is where your what your immediate health of the city looks like. The general fund's down a little bit only because we have transferred last year. We transferred a few million over to capital projects to fund things cash funded instead of finance these projects. So we did that, and that's one of the reasons that's down so much. The transportation fund and then obviously the tourism fund are capital related. So as that capital is built, we'll draw that money down. So you can see those water and sewer on the very far right-hand side. You can see that the cash levels are up a little bit. Public safety is the one in the bottom. This all accounts for the purchase of the White House. And then as we see the fire station be built, that'll draw some of the cash down. On the very far right, you see 3 million. And then we've got money sitting in their fund that is going to fund the rest of it. So that's cash funded. And in the budget, we anticipated doing that entire thing financed. So if we need to, we'll come back and borrow part of it. But at this point, I don't see a need to do that. Cash balance for the tourism fund, you see there 25 million. Kind of stays high, but there's a lot of capital in that. As we move forward, that one, it'll get drawn down too. And I think we had targeted around 13 million for the end of 23. That's not going to happen. It's going to be a lot more than that. So we'll have a healthy balance going into 24 to look at projects. I think that's it, right? That's all I've got on the financials. And I've
Any
got
questions?
more for them.
Yeah,
for
any
the
questions
report.
from the committee? Alex, there'll be a test on this later. Did you absorb all that?
Working on it, sir.
Okay,
He's got my direct number. He promised he'd call me.
good.
Maybe even in flight if I can. I want to ride is what I want.
Well, it is reassuring to see we're on track. I appreciate the fact that you made conservative numbers in your budget,
Yeah.
right? Not knowing. We're still in that unknown world right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And I do reckon, you usually see me all over the city, and I'm not going to kid myself, I don't do all the work. One of my managers right here, Colby Krasnowski, is the one, if there's anything getting done, he usually runs through him.
So, and his name was what?
Colby Krasnowski,
Colby.
and there will be a test on how to spell that last name.
I think we'll just call him CK,
And
in case the last name starts with a K.
it does.
And Ben, I did have a question on the vehicle counts versus tourism tax revenue
Yeah.
and sales tax on that. For April and May, the 2023 counts are quite a bit less than 2022, according to that bar graph there. Right?
Oh, for the
vehicle
counts, the
counts.
counts themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Is that concerning? Is that,
Not necessarily. Actually, the counts for 22 are black, and 23 is the orange. If you look at the right-hand side. So if you look up here, if you look up here, the orange right here is 23, the black's 22. So you can see that the orange is actually higher than the black, much higher.
well, I was looking at April and May, which
Oh,
are
okay.
half of what '22 was. So, yeah, from January, February, March, it's increasing, and then April and May, it's a pretty dramatic drop-off. And it's the same for tourism and sales tax. I
Yeah,
just
and
didn't
April,
know-
May may not have complete data in it.
Okay. I didn't know
At
if
the
there was
time
some
of the draft.
anomaly or if
No,
we're
that's a
worried
good
about
point.
that, or.
Yeah, I'll go back and make sure it's complete.
Yeah, April looks like 50% drop, just based
Yeah,
on.
I don't think I've got all of April in there. That's a good eye. I'll go back and check that.
Very good.
Yeah, I should have caught that, but I'll check it. That's easy to check.
Good catch, Cody. Any other questions from the committee? Are we needing to accept this, approve it, or just say thank you? Kathy, do you know?
I think it's just a report.
Oh,
Yeah,
just a
it's just a
report.
report. Right.
Okay, well, thank you. Colby, you done all the work, he gets all the credit, right? And such is life.
Yeah, such is life. And I tell you, those guys do a fantastic job. He's got two people working with him that are doing a lot of heavy lifting too. So those guys do a phenomenal job. I do want to offer, in July, I'd like to come back and just do 1 or 2 slides overview of what the fund structure looks like, what the operating funds are, what the capital funds are. It's really a refresher as we head into budget. So it's not really aimed at Alex, but it's just a refresher. So I'll put a couple of slides together to show that. And then that will be out on the website too, as people, follow us through our budget process. So I'll bring that back.
Yeah, and I want to let the committee know that I've asked Kathy to request from Baker Tilly an update, an overview of where we stand with our Branson Landing TIFs. I believe there's 2 or 3 bonds. We don't need to go back to the beginning of time because I know there was some refinance along the way. But I just want this committee and our Board of Aldermen to be brought up to speed of where we sit. When we use the word maturity dates, we have some bonds that are going to mature as far as term, but they still have millions, tens of millions of dollars owed against them. So I know that's not going to happen for another, 3 or 4 years. I just thought it would be a good time today for us to get a grasp on that. And if you would add the Branson Hills TIF to that, because I have a concern that that one is the term is going to expire, but there's also going to be millions that we'll have to refinance or do something with. So if we could have that presented to the finance and then to the Board of Aldermen, that'd be great.
Yeah, and it's good timing, because remember, we put 5-year forecasts together for all of our funds. Those roll-offs start in our 5th year, this year.
So, yeah.
So we'll have to put that together anyway. And I know I've got Jolynn kicking off one of the TIFs, because it's complicated and she lives it every day. So I'm just going to let her pull the data for us. And then we'll take care of the other ones. But the thought is to get all that information together so we can put it in that last year. Because there's been a lot of questions out in the public as to what do we do? We're broke, we have too much money, it's all over the board. But we just need to put some data out there so it's data-driven, that discussion, and everybody has the same number.
That'd be very appreciated.
I'm not concerned about it, we just need to get the data out there.
But and I know it's not for another 5 years, but as we're making decisions today.
It impacts that.
That's right.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it does. It's also one of the reasons you're carrying some high balances in certain places.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
also, it's good to know that as we look at the feasibility study for expanding the convention center too, because some of those are tied in with that property. So it's very timely that we're looking at these things.
Yep. Absolutely. Mayor, that's all I've got.
Is that the end of? Any questions, comments? Why are you laughing at me again? No other questions, comments from the committee? Ben, once again, thank you very much, especially for delivering the information in the format that you do.
Yeah, and not to, I don't want to forget her tucked behind those laptops or those monitors there. This Sunday, Tracy pulls a lot of data together out of the finance system just to get the financials together so we could do the rest of our work. So
Well, I think.
they do a yeoman's job.
Yeah, the same with our accounting, but I think all the directors.
Yeah. They did a great job.
They get the accolades, right? They get the applause and all that. And it's, I think every one of them would say it's because of the strong team,
Absolutely.
right? Do it, actually, like Colby, that are actually doing the work, and they come up here and they get applauded.
Yeah.
But they are great directors.
Thanks, Mayor.
You bet. Any closing comments?
Thanks again. I really appreciate getting the opportunity from everybody here. I'm from Hollister, so don't hold that against me. I know I'm a Branson resident, so I corrected that. But looking forward to serving everybody and learning. Thank you for taking the time, sir, to get me kind of started. You'll get 110% out of me. My whole goal is to help do what you guys already do. The system's not broken. I just want to be a part of the process that works great. So I just wanted to take a moment and say thanks again for letting me have that shot at that.
I'm excited and appreciative that you're contributing your service. Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, Cody second. All in favor, say aye.